Said hi, glad to see you. What were some of the things that changed from the first one to the second one? $5,000, yeah. Besides that, what else changed? What did you hear or see that changed? Smile. How many smiles are bigger? Right? What else changed? Enthusiasm level went up. Did you hear it in the room? Sort of a little bit more excitement. You felt it. What else changed? Anybody's handshake changed? A little firmer? Not to get away. Yeah. Anybody have this? Anybody have this kind of motion where you held on for your dear life during the handshake and then sort of put your other hand out, pulling towards it, looking for the bug? All right. Any other body language sort of changed? Yeah, a little bit looser, right? How many people were more genuinely interested in their partner this time? Yeah. Genuine is the operative word there, isn't it? Yeah. Now, here's the real key. In reality, in real life, did anything change from the first time to the second time? No. Look around the room and how this looks like we got $5 spare, right? But one thing changed that caused everything else to change. Handshake, smile, body language, enthusiasm, all of that changed because one thing changed. What was it? Attitude. Look at the effect. Right? Now, do you think that makes a difference on the job as well? Yeah. There's a story about this traveling salesperson who's out traveling his territory, trying to make some sales. First 3 days are down. He hasn't made a sale. He's pretty depressed, calls home to his wife. She hears it in his voice. She wants to build him back up, but she says to him, look, hon, don't worry about a thing. It doesn't matter if you sold anything. I want you to come home right now. We just won the $1 million lottery. Come home, let's figure out how to spend it. Do you think his attitude changed a little? Right? Yeah. So his attitude's up, and he's talking about how they're going to spend the money, and, she's real excited now that his attitude's up. And she says, come on home. He said, no, I got to finish these sales calls, and then I'll come home. Do you think his attitude was different when he went on the sales call? Yeah. What happened on the sales call? Do you think? Did he make the sales or not?
He made the sales.
Huh?
He made the sales.
He made the sales. Right? So he comes home after making 2 days worth of sales, walks in the door, they get all excited and everything. She says, how'd you do? He said, I sold everything, but don't worry about it. We're just going to worry about spending the money. Right? She says, I got good news and bad news. She said, the good news is you made the sale, and we got the money from the sale. And that's really great, because I heard you weren't too good in the beginning of the week, so I needed to build you up. We didn't win the $1 million lottery. After I picked her up off the floor, they had this little conversation. But the attitude made the difference in everything else that happened. Isn't that true? We're talking in this training session here about the attitude of incident injury-free. What could be people's attitude about incident injury-free? What kind of attitudes can people have about that concept? What's that? It won't happen to them. What else?
Things paradigm.
Say it again?
Things paradigm. Things paradigm.
Okay, it changes the paradigm, right? How do we feel about incident injury-free? What's your attitude toward incident injury-free? Okay, why? Okay. Do you have a commitment toward it? Okay. What's your attitude? Okay, how many people have that same kind of attitude? If you didn't have that attitude and tried to coach people toward incident injury-free, it would affect your ability to coach them? Right? Do you think they'd be a little bit more resistant to your coaching if they could tell you weren't real committed to it? Yeah, it's really true. Now, other folks out there may not necessarily be as committed to it as you and I are. So the first thing that we have to do is we've got to check our own attitude about our own commitment toward it so that it comes through in our coaching. The second thing that we need to do is we need to check all of the attitudes around our coaching and make sure that our attitude and our coaching ability is as good as it can be so that we can tear down the resistance and get people to safe behaviors. How many people agree with that was true? Okay, so what we have are a few models to take a look at. The first model says this. How many people believe that if you demonstrate your attitude caring about them as an individual, that they may be more receptive to your coaching towards safe behavior? true, right? Let's test this a little bit. Because if we don't coach, we might get fired. Not caring because if we don't coach, somebody might call us on it. But we care because we want that person to go home the same way that they came. Make sense? Now, if you and I coached with that base level of care and communication, do you think that that person would be more open to communicating with you? So, that's what that says. Then you start communicating with them almost just like we did now. Find out their name, their company, a little bit about them. It could take 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It opens up that line of communication, shows a little bit that you care about them, and then it opens up an opportunity for us to do our coaching. And the person to be a little bit more accepting of that coaching than they normally would have. Once we create that scenario, now we can go to the coaching model itself. And the coaching model says this. The first thing that we do is we compliment them for something that we've seen them do. What do you think are some of the things that we can compliment somebody on, even if they're engaging in an unsafe practice? What could some of the potential things be that we compliment on?
Safety classes, forgiving and
Maybe they're doing something else in a safety way. So we can compliment them on that. What else? The quality of the work that we're doing, we can certainly compliment them on. How many people would agree that most of the unsafe practices that either we're going to be engaged in or we're going to see are based on somebody saying, oh, it's just going to take a minute, I want to get this done, I want to move on to the next project, or we're getting this done real quick. A time-oriented kind of an excuse, quote unquote. Well, the interesting part about this is this. You can compliment them on their willingness and desire to get the thing done on time. That's something to be proud of and compliment them on, and then come back and say, the time is not worth the pain. The time's not worth getting hurt for. Nothing's worth getting hurt for. So the first thing we're going to do is compliment them. Once we compliment them, they might be a little bit more open, but now we're going to cover some of the ways that we might them are to tell them an example of what happened when that unsafe behavior was done by somebody else. Maybe done by you. Maybe you have a scar as a result. Maybe you heard a story from someone else on the site that was doing the same thing. Never thought it would happen to them, right? Because most of us think that way, right? Never thought it would happen to them, but it did happen to them. Tell them that story. Then coach them as easily as you can to the new safe behavior. Now, we don't let it die there, because when you walk away, if the person's not totally committed to changing their behavior, they're going to what? They're going to go back to the way they did it before. So the third part of the model says, ask them for a commitment to continue doing the new safe behavior even after you're gone. Okay? So let's review. We come to a situation, coaching situation, unsafe behavior. We want to demonstrate a base level of an attitude of caring. That's going to open up lines of communication, so therefore we can coach. When we start to coach, the first thing we're going to do is give them a compliment, and then based on that compliment, we're going to coach them and ask for a commitment. Good for you. Everyone, please stand up. Find a different